And PMS is a real thing. Our hormones do go on a roller coaster ride, and we can't always control our emotions. Sometimes I like open the fridge and I start like getting teary eyed, and I'm like, why am I upset that there's no chocolate in here? I shouldn't be. And then I'm like, oh, right. This is okay. That's what's happening, right?
Be manly and the legends of humanity. Welcome to the Fellowship of Honourable Men and Women Role Models for Boys and Men, because you have the power to be a man in all its glory.
We're talking about how not to be a loser in your life. And in this particular one, it's about breaking free from toxic behaviors, addressing the impact of toxic behaviors and strategies to break free from harmful stereotypes and embrace healthy behaviors. How do we do that when we're full of emotion? We're emotional beings.
I mean, it's a tough one, right? And I think the biggest thing is you have to recognize the behavior that you're doing. So I'm a yoga teacher as well as being a resilience coach. And today, on the day that we're recording this morning, I taught a yoga class. And afterwards, the owner of the studio had taken my class, and she's giving me feedback to help me become a better teacher. And she said to me, "Do you know what your crutch word is?" And I was thinking like, no, I don't. What is it? And she said, "You say the word here a lot." And I was like, I do? I never would have pulled that word out. I didn't realize I did that. But now that you've said that, I will listen for it and see if I hear it more. And that's what I'm talking about. Like oftentimes these toxic behaviors, we don't realize that we're doing them, or we don't realize the impact that they're having on other people. Another example is I was camping with friends, and we were sitting around the fire, and one of my friends asks one of the children, who's like 3, just kind of starting to talk, what does a dog say? Bark, 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 this type of thing. And then they say, what does mom say? Mommy says, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, you're so cute, something like that. What does daddy say? Oh shit, god damn it. That's what the little 3-year-old said. And the dad was like, oh my God. He did not even realize that he was saying that enough that the little son was picking it up, right? So I think the first step is to just recognize that you're even doing it, right? And then the second step is to understand the impact that it's having on the people around you, and also to like take responsibility for it. I think we were talking earlier about, you hear the word a lot, toxic masculinity, and I'm not exactly sure what that means per se, or why it's assigned a gender, because I think we all have toxic behaviors. I mean, women blame shitty behavior on PMS all the time. And PMS is a real thing. Our hormones do go on a roller coaster ride, and we can't always control our emotions. Sometimes I like open the fridge and I start like getting teary eyed, and I'm like, why am I upset that there's no chocolate in here? I shouldn't be. And then I'm like, oh, right. This is okay. That's what's happening, right? So we all can do it, but blaming PMS for crappy behavior is it's not okay. And that is a toxic behavior trait, I think.
So from that perspective, again, linking it back to the toxic masculinity, is there behavior traits that males should be aware of, and just in stereotypical behaviors? We were talking before about not being able to cry. Is there things like that it would fall into that category?
I mean, I think so, right? I do think that there are stereotypes, again, for all genders, that perpetuate toxicity, right? So a great example that you just brought up, right, is this stereotype that men are weak if they show emotion. But then what that happens is like, just because you don't show the emotion doesn't mean you aren't experiencing the emotion. And if you don't have anywhere to release that emotion, if you don't have an outlet for it, often it turns into abuse, violence, physical violence, verbal violence, emotional violence. It just is toxins held in your body, and they do come out somehow. Maybe it's not tears because you're sad or you're disappointed or you're scared, but maybe it comes out with yelling and barking at your family and your kids. Maybe it comes out as road rage. Like it does come out. And so just addressing or looking at the stereotypes that you might be falling into. And listen, we get handed a lot of these too from our parents, right? I mean, how many of us girls look to our moms of like the right way to be a mom? And how many boys look to their dads as like their example of what a man is?
So breaking free from these toxic behaviors, as you said before, the first step is recognizing it. What are the next steps that people can do to break free?
I think the next step is once you recognize it, it's looking at, well, how does this behavior of mine impact other people and impact myself? And making a plan with a coach or a therapist about ways to start to change that behavior. And sometimes that requires having really vulnerable conversations with the people in your lives, your partner per se, right? Oftentimes what I hear with my clients is men are afraid to show emotions, this toxic masculinity stereotype of men don't cry. When meanwhile, the male clients that I've had, they are sad, they are scared, they do want to be the providers, but they also are frustrated that they're taking care of everything and that they feel like they can't share that weight with their wife or partner, right? And they don't feel safe communicating that to their partner because perhaps in the past they've shown emotions or tried to communicate that, and it's either been used against them, or they've been called names, or you're too sensitive, boys don't cry, don't be a wuss, all of these types of things. So it is first recognizing what's the impact on me, what's the impact on the people around me, how would I like this to be different, and what steps can we take to make those changes. And it's a little different for everyone given their circumstances, right?
Mm.
So it really, I think, is I wish I didn't have to say it like this, but I do think it's a little bit of trial and error.
Mm.
And that's scary to do, right? Because you do open yourself up. You do have to be vulnerable, which then, so having some support and someone by your side who can guide you and can walk you through it and can help you be there, can be there for you, is hugely important, I think, to break free from these cycles.
Before you go, you're invited to continue the Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity journey. Subscribe to our YouTube and become a patron, where you can become a courageous crusader, a wise warrior, a daring dynamo, and even an ascending avenger. Here you'll find all the tools to become a man in all its glory. We're honoured to walk side by side with you on this extraordinary adventure. Together, we're unleashing the full power of manhood, creating a better world for everyone.